Welcome. Today we're going to be diving into a spooky project because it's Halloween right now, one of my favorite holidays, and that's going to be the classic Halloween colors of orange and black. Now, that being said, this video is less about Halloween and more about a study on using black, because if you think about it, that color black, it goes with everything. And today, because it's Halloween, we're going to use orange. However, you could use black with red, black with blue, black with yellow, with purple, with pinks, whatever color you want. Black will go with it because black goes with everything. Now, our video today, we're going to be using raven black for half the shirt, and then for the other half, we're going to use 3 different colors, all Dharma colors, by the way. We're going to be using bright orange, deep yellow, and bright yellow. And I really like that deep yellow. It seems more orange to me than yellow, but hey, that is what it is. Now, additionally, I'm going to be taking a few minutes later on in round 2 to walk you through my current method of creating what I consider to be a decent-ish spiral. You know, I'm always learning, always looking for new tips and tricks to make it even better, and I'm going to share with you my recent way of doing that. So excited to do that. Now, a quick note about ice dyeing colors. We have to remember that all of the dyes are created using just a couple primary colors. And so when it comes to like orange, there's only a few colors that they use to make those oranges, and it's really more a ratio between the couple of colors. While black, there is no underlying black color. So the way they make it, and this is all proprietary, the way they make it is going to be using a lot of the darker primary colors that they have. And so when we ice dye it, it's going to split into those darker primary colors. So you're going to see a lot of blue when you split it because those dark blues help create the black, even some dark greens depending on the black you use. So this is where the expectations come in. If you're looking to create a shirt with a solid black color, don't ice dye. Use liquid dye instead, because the dyes are going to melt together. They don't melt, they're going to mix together and create that solid black color. When you ice dye, they're going to split. I like the split because you see the gradients and you see the way the structure of the shirt was tied. So that's my method. It's just important to have that expectation before you start. Let's get into this. My name's Nate, and as always, I'm going to do my best to keep track of everything that I do, record it all, to share it with you. There'll probably be something I miss or forget along the way, or in this video, I completely misplaced one of my notes, so I don't have it from round 1. I just have what I remember. Anyways, let's dive into this. Before we get into the dye placement, let's talk briefly about why these 2 colors, orange and black, are the official classic Halloween palette. The precursor to Halloween takes us back over 2,000 years to the Celts and their ancient vital celebration of Samhain, a festival that marks the end of the harvest season and the beginning of winter, that ominous, darker half of the year. Samhain is still observed today and is observed from sunset on October 31st to sunset on November 1st. Now, during this time, it's considered to be a transition period. It was believed the veil between the living and the spirit world was at its thinnest, giving you an opportunity to connect with your ancestors. Also allowing spirits, both good and harmful, to easily pass through and walk amongst us, which is not spooky at all. It is a time to feast and to honor the dead and welcome the spirits of family ancestors back to the home while warding off malevolent evil ones, and usually done with bonfires. Now, as this festival came to the US with so many of our immigrants, it has morphed and combined with other things over the years into what we now consider to be modern day Halloween. And the classic colors that we use today perfectly represent the original intent of Samhain. Now, orange, that symbolizes the harvest, the warmth of the earth, and the bonfires used to ward off those evil spirits. And it represents life, wealth, abundance. Black, I think we know where this is going. It symbolizes darkness, the cold of the approaching winter, and the need to honor the dead. So when you're wearing these colors, you are wearing a tradition that dates back millennia. You're essentially sporting a Harvest of the Shadows or a Death Harvest shirt, which are, by the way, such fantastic heavy metal band names or song names. By the way, I call dibs. We're going to try something a little different with the dye. I normally work with 2 opposing spirals of the same color, but here we're gonna do one of each. And we're gonna twist it up just a little and do a yin-yang spiral design without the opposite color dot. Now this means we're gonna have 2 large fields, one for the black and one for the orange, which gives each color a huge amount of real estate as the spiral moves towards the edge. Now crucially, this shirt is gonna be dyed DUI in the muck. No, not that DUI. In tie-dye lingo, that's dyed under the ice. And in the muck is essentially that fully saturated dye water that has pulled at the bottom of the container. This shirt is going to sit in it. Now, first instinct is that's obviously going to ruin the shirt as the dye colors are going to mix and just make that dark muck. But if you follow one simple, crucial step, you will get great results. It's not a secret, it's just very straightforward. Now, this is all based on fluid dynamics. Once you add the ice, do not move the container. If you move the container, all that dye water is going to mix. If you don't move the container, all that dye water is going to sit right where you basically left it. That water will pull and not mix or move around as much, like it would if it was gravity dyed or dyed over the rack. You'll even see that the top of the muck water can be crystal clear as long as you don't move it. Let's keep track of this yellow spot right here as the muck progresses and the ice melts. It's right on the border between the yellow and black. Right now it's completely white. Fast forward a little bit of time, we see the yellow and the black dye are now traveling down. Now we see the shirt is in the black muck completely, yet the yellow, it has not turned black. And additionally, if we look at the top, that shirt, that muck water is crystal clear. I find this all very fascinating. Let's now take a look at the shirt when we unveil it 24 hours later. All right, let's look at this Shadow Harvest shirt. This is the moment of truth, the wet reveal, and wow, I am immediately obsessed with this shirt. The fiery orange against that dark black. Even soaking wet, this shirt is shouting Halloween right at me. Now, these color combinations, they just work. And this shirt is especially a winner when we look at it wash and dried. Now, one thing to note is when we look at the black, we now get those color gradations that we didn't see when the shirt was wet because more of that black dye washed out. That center is exactly what I was hoping for. We see that spiral going all the way there. And that orange, it looks so good. That bright yellow pops near the bottom and it blends well into the deep orange and deep yellow. It's just very vibrant overall. I have some ideas on how we could tweak this for next time. Now, remember that little spot of yellow we kept track of earlier? It's right there on the corner of the sleeve. Just a fun little detail. Now, when we think about other things that we did, and we think about that spiral yin-yang placement on this one, I don't feel like it did anything for the design. And if anything, I think the way I did it caused the spiral to not be a perfect curve, perfect arc. And so I'm going to skip it for the next round. Before we get started, a quick bit of housekeeping. The spiraling process you're about to see did take a fair amount of time, and so I'm going to speed up a few of the points, but not a lot of it. And so if you want to jump ahead to the dye placement or the final shirt reveal, go for it. I've included those timestamps in the description for the video below. Now, for this fold today, I'm creating a mostly flat spiral disc, with the outside edges just a little bit thicker than the center, which means I'm going to be creating pleats as I fold around. And I'm going to use a couple of my favorite unorthodox tools for this. First is this awful pastry mat. It slides beautifully on the counter, which is perfect for spinning the shirt. It just sucks when it comes to like kneading dough because it moves everywhere. And second are some slippery chopsticks, which are perfect for putting in those folds to smooth them out because they do not catch on the cotton. Now finally, a quick audio warning. I'm filming in my basement on a busy weekend, so if you hear any ruckus from the kids upstairs, just consider that part of the process. Let's get into it. And it is 21 going across, so that's 10 and a half. Look at that. I was almost on the money. Like that. This is a plant saucer that I poked a hole, and then I have little grippy things. Obviously can't remember the name right now. I give it about 1/4 inch here, grab it in the middle, lock it down, and then what I like to do is pull it as I twist, and this will help create the spiral, the pleats right at the very beginning be somewhat neat. The other thing I like to do is, these are very smooth, is to put these in here to help. This is looking good. With this shirt, I am going to try and create even-sized pleats. So as we go farther from the center, I will be making more pleats. Yes? Later. All right, sorry about that. And then we get to a point where now we want to spend a little bit more time making sure that in between each fold, the shirt is smooth. That's the key. So I think we're at that point. We now take this out. Done with that. That looks pretty good. And yeah, you don't need those anymore. So I like to kind of start to the side here. And so here we can make a new pleat. Bring that up like that. Bring that in. Have that go up. Like that. Okay, we're kind of working on making even pleats as we go across. So here, we're going to make another one. Ah! See? It's okay. You can always pull it. So now, so when we look, if I was to take this pleat, and bring this to here, I would have a pleat this size. It'd be huge. So we're not going to do that. I don't want to do that in this one. Sometimes you do. I'm not going to do that this one. What I'm going to do is say, hey, let's make one half that size. So what we do, pull it, maybe go over here a little bit. Yeah. Inevitably, the farther to the edge you go, the taller the pleats are going to get, and that's generally fine. Okay, so pleat wants to form right here. So we're going to allow it. There, here. Sometimes you do little small ones, just like that. And then sometimes what you do is when you have a bunch, you could just put them together just like that as you pull them. Wow, to hear my kids upstairs are playing music, which is good, but also kind of crazy. Okay. So this is kind of coming up here, which is something we don't want. This is looking good. Let's fix that piece here by kind of going like this a little. That one looks good like that. But what we want to do, So now I'm going to go over here. So now, let's go here. Let's fix this right here. Pulling from the edges is a great way, just be careful, hold that down. So we can see it's a little bit better aligned. So this is kind of coming up, so what we do, put that there, here, and let's do, that one wants to start one right here. Okay, so this is, I'm gonna leave this for the end. So now what I'm gonna do, I kind of have a good feeling about this here. I'm gonna do this, and then we're gonna wrap it around like that. So let's go ahead. Sometimes you can remember to pull it from the edge. I really like these smooth chopsticks because they don't catch on the cotton, and they slide much better. Makes it much easier. Okay, so now we're at the point right here. So what I like to do, make it easier for myself. This thing really, it's almost like, I was like, you know, should I get a Lazy Susan? Would that help me? I'm like, no, let's just use this pastry mat, which has been sacrificed to the tie-dye gods. It's fine. Okay. So here we have some nice looking pleats here. They do get taller, that's okay. I want a gradual one. And here, I have all this space. So what I'm gonna do is smooth it going all the way down, then halfway, I'm gonna pick it up. Maybe not halfway, like over here, and just have it go. Just like that. So now, just hold this down, pull from the edges, right? So that made it look a lot better. Like that. And this guy's getting up a little bit, but what we'll do, fold it down like that, and then so that's looking pretty good. As you can see. Now what we do,
There's always some work that has to be redone when you're twisting and spiraling. It's just the nature of the beast. And this is going to be an issue here. This is the part I hate the most because of the collar. It's just, it sucks. That's it. All right, so I see that goes here, and we have here, just so you can see it. Like we have another one forming here. So what you want to do is go on one side, make it smooth on the other side, right? And then pull it up, bring it over, just like that. There you go. And just keep doing it. So with the sleeve, sometimes what you could do when it's kind of not even is you put one of these in here, you get the seam, you just pull and it's much more even. So like right there, right? We have, it's pretty nice, not perfectly even, but we're not going for, you know, crazy perfect here. We're just going for pretty good. So that's okay. So we make another triangle fold here, right? Think of it like a triangle. I'll bring it up. You can see it's now coming together. It's pretty good. I'm going to leave this for the moment because there's a lot of tension pulling it this way because this isn't pulled this way yet. So I'm going to work on this now to bring that over here, and then we're going to finalize right there. So let's go bring it like this. Right? So now I'm going to hold it, and you see how this is kind of messy? I'm going to pull here and hold it here just gently, and it'll fix a lot. I see this coming out. It's okay. There's always a matter of having to redo work, and that's okay. So that already looks a lot better. So now I see this is going to be a fat piece here, right? So what we do is we, something like that, bring it out a little, and let's start a new fold here. Right, so you can put this here, and you can also just pull it, and it kind of creates the line for you. It's just a slow process. Don't overthink it. You're just creating new folds, new kind of pleats, or whatever you want to call them, new triangles. As you move around, see, it's already coming together a little bit better. So let's go back over here, make sure it's kind of how I want it, and I'm going to start, like, I like to, like, hey, that's gonna go like that. Let's fix this. So that's like that, and goes like that. That is for sure like that. Here, we see like a little, I don't like that. Let's smooth that out. Remember, if you're trying to go for perfection, you're going to be, what's the word? You're going to drive yourself crazy because that doesn't exist. You are trying to go for better than you did last time. That's it. All right. So here, this is looking good. we get to the part that I just don't like, and that's the collar. This always gets a little messy, and I can't help it. So now what we're gonna do is kind of keep this part here. We know it's gonna look like that. So now we lift. So we kind of started the collar there. So see, we're like very close to being done. This is where your back starts to hurt. And so now I find it's helpful to work both sides. Like here we have it kind of doing its own thing. We're getting there with this collar. It's hard. We are almost there. Look at this. All right. Okay, so the collar is mostly done. So now what we're doing, oops, sorry. We are finishing the spiral, is what we're doing. This is nice and flat. There's no wrinkles in it. This is looking good, this is looking good, okay. So now, we just have to finish this. We just have to keep doing what we've been doing. So we are very close. This is very exciting. Getting to this part here. And yes, it does go up near the edge. This did go up. You know what, this one went up too much. So let's go back down. Let's see if we can add one. That will do. See what we did there? We just added another pleat. And it brought it down to be a little bit more in line. That one, we could do the same over there. Don't rush it at the end. So these are a little bit better in height-wise, which is not really that important. I'm going to be doing this in the muck, and I'd like it all to be somewhat level. Okay. Now, there's many ways to tie this. You could use string. I am going to I like the rubber band around the edge because I feel it gives the spiral a better circular shape. And so now, just one rubber band. Try to keep the pleats on the edge vertical going up. Sometimes the rubber band wants to go underneath, right there. So we're better. Then what we do, this looks pretty good. We're gonna put this on a fan and let it air dry for a while before we go to the next step. You can see, it's not perfect, but it looks pretty good.
Thanks so much for watching. I have a blast making tie-dye and sharing these videos with you. And if you enjoy them and find them helpful at all, please hit that like button and subscribe. It's the best way to show thanks. I aim to post a couple videos a month, so make sure to also hit that notification so you'll be notified as soon as one is shared. All right, let's get into round 2. Now, my goal here was go back to the basics and keep it simple. 2 shirts, both dyed in the muck with the same Halloween colors, and I'm gonna keep the basic single spiral pattern that I loved from the first round, avoiding that arcing yin-yang dye placement. I'm also not gonna use that blue-gray color because it didn't add anything. Now on both shirts, one half is that solid raven black, and the other half I arranged the orange into a K-shaped pattern, starting with the deep orange, then going to deep yellow, and then bright yellow to create hopefully an interesting gradient that brightens up towards the edge of the spiral. Now, the only real difference between these 2 shirts is an experimental opposite dot. One shirt has a dot of black in the orange, and the other has a dot of orange in the black, using the same 3 color oranges that I'm using here for the orange gradient. And I'm doing this because, well, I can't help myself to try new things. Now, it's true. Now, after I add the soda ash and add the ice, these shirts sat in the container on a rack in the muck for 36 hours without being moved. That's the key here with muck dyeing, is once you add the ice and put it where you want to put it, don't touch it, don't move it. Now, a key here, a key tip, just kind of like for making it easier for you, is if you're doing muck dye, it's a good idea to place the container on a rack to avoid the condensation on the outside of the container ruining the table it's on. Now, one interesting data point for the future is when I looked at the muck and some pictures that I'll share here, is the top of the muck here, the water, did not end up being clear this time around. Just an interesting data point. All right, let's take a look at the reveal here. Let's look at the first one here. This is the simple spiral of just the black and orange, not the dots. And as usual, that black looks very dark in the wet reveal, but as you can see, it lightens up perfectly after washing. I love how this raven black splits. Now remember, if you're looking for a solid black, you need to do liquid dye. Getting a solid black with ice dye is gonna be difficult, so you wanna set those expectations. I love it here because it feels like a spooky spine for me, which is absolutely perfect for the Halloween feel we're going for. Now the orange spiral, it did exactly what I wanted with that gradient. The spiral itself was tight and the pleats are spot on, running right from the center all the way out. That beautiful brown tone you see bleeding into the orange just adds a lovely fall festive touch. Additionally, that burnt brown with orange to me brings a feeling of heat, which is a fantastic contrast to the cold black. All of these colors here just play so well. We've also successfully fixed the spiral arc problem from the first round. Now for next time, when I look at the shirt, I might just play with the different patterns that I did with the 3 different orange colors I used in the orange gradient. But for now, I got no issues with this shirt. Let's move on to the second one. Now, this is the one with the opposite dot. And when I look at the reveal here, I love it just as much. When I look at the colors, the gradients, the structure of the spirals, everything looks fantastic here. And so that opposite dot, we have to look at that and see what did it add or take away. So let's investigate. Now in the center, the spiral is really neat. And with that extra bit of black that was in the orange, I think it made the center a little bit more slightly muted. Now, I actually like this because to me, it gives the shirt a great 3D look. because if you look at the edge of the shirts, it is very bright the farther out you go in that spiral. Now, if we look at the dots specifically, the orange dot ended up looking very linear next to that black. It didn't blend, which is fine. It's just, I really liked the black dot because if you look at it, it blends beautifully and you get these gradients and kind of arcs of colors. And it looks just great. So why the difference? Well, let's go back and let's look at how we placed the die. That black dot was a lot smaller than the orange dot, and it was placed right against the deep and bright yellow. Something interesting to consider for next time, because there was also no white space around it. Maybe if the orange dot was applied smaller and without that buffer, it would have turned out differently. I don't know. That's why we have to keep making more tie-dye, because we have to test these hypotheses. That's really why we do it. Now, for me, I didn't do a round 3, which I normally would have to test this hypothesis because I ran out of Raven Black. So I ordered some new black, except this time I did it from Pro Chemical and Dye because I wanted to see how their blacks would compare. So I'll have to do a quick test on that soon and share it with y'all. But until next time, have a good one.